Glad to be here. Thank you for having me. And yeah, so I'm finishing up 13 years right here in the House of Representatives. But I started actually on the Springfield Park Commission. I served 2 years as the chairman of the Springfield Park Commission many years ago. And then after that, I served almost 10 years on the Springfield City Council. I was City Council president for a term, vice president, and served just about in every chairmanship at the time that we had on the City Council. So 10 years there, and the seat here became open. I ran for the state representative seat. I thought it was a great background with my law degree as well as my public service, and it was a good fit, and I think it still is. I enjoy helping people. I enjoy creating some great laws that we do right here in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and really helping the constituents that live in my district and making sure that they have the services that they need and have earned and deserve, and work together to make sure that we're able to build a better Commonwealth, certainly starting with the 12th Hamden District.
Absolutely. And I know you've done a lot of work around the autism spectrum. Can you talk to me a little bit more about that? And I want to know the financial hardships that those families that get those diagnoses face once they meet with doctors.
Well, I mean, I've been very active, helping, autism families and, with legislation, trying to expand the coverage of services. That was a big bill we did many years ago, and, we've expanded on that to make sure that, number one, insurance companies are going to start paying for the services that these children and these families need, which was critically important, so we expanded that. And it's tough. I mean, we try to do more respite services, and we try to do more in-house programming, and just providing relief to the families, both in a financial standpoint, knowing that the insurance is going to cover it, but also in a really a family standpoint to make sure that their loved one is taken care of, and they themselves have the ability to take some time off. That's where the respite and some of the services that we do in-house I think have done tremendous volumes for both the children, the families, and many people that are involved. I'm particularly proud of the fact that each year I run some races, road races, to try to raise some money for autism. Raised several $1,000s, for the autism. I'm a member of the team autism, and in fact, I'm running the New York City Marathon for autism. So this year we're going to raise hopefully some even more good money, to go to autism, and continue to fight that challenge not only here in the Commonwealth, but frankly across the country and really the globe.
Absolutely. I want to get into this a little bit more. I know it's a topic of conversation right now, is the family medical leave. Do you know if a diagnosis of autism would be encompassed under this family medical leave, so these families could take time to go to a doctor? Do you know a little bit more about the leave and what it encompasses?
I think on new diagnosis and illnesses such as that, yes, certainly. It's just being implemented. It just started out October 1st. I know there's a lot of questions, as far as from both employees and employers. But I think overall, it's good, and I think it's going to benefit families, from autism to any type of medical issue that's covered. And I think it's important. I think that quality family time is critically important, and the fact that we're able to do that and provide sort of that base for the family, at least to be able to have that type of feeling and the ability to spend time with their loved one in a time of need is critically important. So I know there's the implementation is coming or has come October 1st, and it's overall, I think it's going to provide some much needed beneficial services to the people and families of the Commonwealth.
Absolutely. I want to shift directions here. I want to get your thoughts on education. I know we haven't seen an education bill out of the House or Senate yet, so I want to get your thoughts. What can the state do to better fund really K through 12 and higher ed?
Well, I mean, I'm optimistic. We've got a good bill that was, I believe, released. It's a good start. I know it's not everything for everybody. I know there's some concern in some areas, but I do think the funding levels have risen up, not to where everybody wants it. But again, I think the key is that we're looking at a comprehensive long-term reform here, and we don't want to do anything that's going to be okay for years 1, 2, 3, or 4. For example, and then find out that we don't have the sustainability in terms of budget-wise and money to continue that. So whatever we do, whatever sort of tide we raise, again, has to be done for the long term, because if we do something short-sighted and fund maybe more than we can afford, 5 or 10 years down the road, it's just going to have a detrimental effect on the classroom. So we need to make sure that, one, we protect, the students and the educators, the teachers in the classroom, but also make sure that whatever budget and other additions that we're able to do, we're going to do that long term. And I know we're looking at that. The bill that's out there is a great start, and I'm very, very pleased where we are. And I know, looking at different communities, gateway cities, and some of the regional school systems are going to benefit from it. And I think that's critically important. We haven't done anything, since really ed reform back in 1983. So this is going to be, every year we've been able to increase the monies in the budget, but this is a comprehensive reform that's going to, I think, look both long and short term to make sure that, one, we're sustainable, to make sure that we continue to have the best education in the country, but also making sure that what goes on in the classroom, both for the students as well as the teachers, is critically important moving forward.
Absolutely. Do you believe that a bill will pass the session that kind of addresses some of those concerns?
I do. I mean, I think, I'm very optimistic. I know last session we were almost there. The differences between the House and the Senate, unfortunately, could not have been worked out. But I think, working with the, Mass Teachers Association, local teachers, local, school committees, as well as, regional, systems, I think we're going to have a product that is going to be, again, not everything for everybody, but that's what compromise is all about. And I think that, if you look at the House of Representatives, and in particular our commitment in Western Massachusetts, the legislative delegation, I think it speaks volumes. I know Speaker DeLeo wants to get a good bill done, and I do think we're going to get something done this year.
Awesome. I want to get your thoughts on East-West Rail. I know you take the commute from Western Mass a couple times a week. So talk to me about that and your thoughts on that proposal. Do you think it's going to boost the state's economy? Well,
I mean, I think it would be a big benefit for Western Mass, certainly, our area, and even Pittsfield, going, further down, the western part of the state. I think it's critically important. I think if you look at, the increased traffic now, from my perspective, there doesn't really seem to be a good or a good time to leave or coming into the city, because traffic is always, tougher. So I think that'll alleviate that. I think it'll help bridge that gap for workers. It'll allow people that want to live out in Western Mass to be able to commute really, easily to Boston and the Cambridge areas. We've got a tremendous economy in Massachusetts, but if you look at, the technology hub, and myself being the chairman of the House Committee on Technology and Intergovernmental Affairs, we work on, Google, IBM's, your Verizon's, everybody's got a huge footprint out here. It'd be nice to move them certainly to Western Mass, don't get me wrong, but I think, the footprint and the presence that they have out here, if it obviously is going to stay, so how do we, combat that? Well, the easiest way to do that is have a rail system that'll be possible to bring people from Western Mass here to work in these jobs and these great opportunities. So I think the housing market we have out there is very good, very ripe. Prices are reasonable. I think it just adds to the whole balance of the Commonwealth. It's certainly something that's long overdue. I think it's something that we're looking at, again, to make sure that we're able to do it, right? We need to make sure that, if we are going to have a east-west rail, it's, again, fast enough to get people to Boston within a reasonable amount of time without having a lot of stops. I know that's the biggest thing. And making sure that we're able to have, enough passengers that are going to be able to sustain that at a reasonable rate. I think it's a huge opportunity, and I think it's very, very, its time has come. And I think it's very, very likely that we're going to move forward, significantly. I'm not saying obviously tomorrow we're not going to have a huge, presence, but I think short term and both long term, the opportunities are there, and I think we're going to be able to capitalize on it.
I want to get your thoughts. I know you, during your commute, I'm sure you encounter some distracted drivers. What can we expect around distracted driving legislation, and what version would you like to see passed?
Well, I mean, we passed a very good version in the House, so I know right now it's boggled down in the conference committee of the Senate, passed a different version, but I'm confident that we're going to iron out a pretty good compromise here. So I think what we passed in the House is a good version, and I know there's some issues around data collection and stuff like that in terms of, what may be fair and appropriate. But I think we've got to look at, and I know it might be possible, or if we still stall, we've got to look at the fact that, let's get a bill out that maybe deals with hands-free, and certainly, all types of, obviously we ban texting and stuff like that, but we need to come up with a bill that's going to be, hands-free like some of our neighboring states. And if you look at, what's going on across the country, I think that anything we can do to keep people more focused on their driving is going to be critically important. I think hands-free is time has come again in Massachusetts. I like the version of the bill that we passed in the House, but I'm pretty confident we're going to pass something relatively soon.
So I know something that you've been doing, pushing a lot for, is to get the state's cupcake to be the Boston Cream Pie Cupcake from Springfield. Why is that so important, and really what is that cupcake like? Because I've never tried it, and maybe a couple of our viewers haven't either.
Well, if you haven't tried one, then you definitely will have to bring in one. But you know what? So we've got an official dessert, right? It's a Boston cream pie. We've even got an official donut, right? Which happens to be the Boston cream donut, right? So what in this frenzy, in recent years of cupcakes, cupcakes are in vogue, right? Now more than ever, and I thought it was only a natural progression to have a cupcake being the official state cupcake. And what better than a Boston cream pie cupcake with the rich history that we have here in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And, it's been a lucky charm. I know the governors in past and the friendly wagers between different states have used the cupcake, as a treat that's, been offered on to other states. When the Patriots win the Super Bowl, the Red Sox win the World Series, for example, and what have you. And even going back when the Bruins several years ago, although they should have last year when they won the Stanley Cup, those were friendly wagers. And I think that it really, is it iconic as, as sort of the clam chowder or anything like that? I think it rides in that, sort of classification. But again, I think if you look at the dessert, if you look at the donut, the natural progression is a cupcake. I think that the Commonwealth, should have an official cupcake. And again, I think what better than the Boston cream pie cupcake?
Exactly. So this is my last question for you. How can constituents stay in touch with you? And what if they feel disconnected from you here in Boston? Is there a way for them to kind of hear your message?
Yeah, I mean that's a great point. So, since day one, I've had a district office in my district right on Boston Road in Wilbraham. Since the first I got elected, I thought that was important because, there is a gap, right? There's, not only the 90 sort of miles, if you will, to Boston, but the fact is that people want to come to the office, and I have it staffed full-time. We're in the district all the time. I'm there as much as I can be, which I think is critically important. So I think the fact that even in today's world, right, where everybody uses, electronic emails, right, text messaging, cell phones, and such, we still do have a lot of foot traffic that comes into the office in the district, and I think that's important to make sure that we're, remain engaged, and that people know that they can find me and my staff whenever they need to. So, I think the biggest point again is the district office that I have. I bring and welcome people to come to the State House. When any constituent wants to come, set up a tour, I'm happy to help facilitate that. Bring them onto the House floor, see the facilities here in Boston as well. But really for legislation and other issues or district constituent stuff, we're there, frontline, 7 days a week, essentially 24/7, to make sure that, we're able to handle those concerns and those issues. And again, I think the best way to have done that is with my district office, to have a strong physical presence in addition to being in the district, obviously, as much as I can. I'm there every night, sleep there in my house, and I'm in the district, and I love the 12th Hamden district, and certainly, although my work takes me here in this office, I'm in the district as often and much more than I am here.
Great. Representative, thank you again for sitting down with us. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to chatting in the future.
Thank you.